My name is Maurice Velasquez.
And I'm John Shirk.
And this is Winning in the Workplace.
Powered by Team Real World. In this module, we will show you the power and efficiency of Excel pivot tables so you can make changes to reports incredibly fast and save yourself a lot of time. So take notes, download the PDF workbook, and enjoy this training.
Today we're going to be covering reporting with Excel pivot tables. First, how to set up the original data file. The second thing is how to use the pivot table, how to change the report when somebody's asking you to change the formatting or they want to see it sliced and diced in different ways. So we're going to cover these three things starting right now. Most reports, there are some exceptions, but the vast majority of reports in the workplace are based on a data file, a data table that's usually looks like this. You can collect this from an Excel file, from an Access file, or from other type of IT data mining files. Ultimately, if you have to request the data from IT, just ask them to put it to you in an Excel file that's in a list form, all right? And it comes in like this. If you're building the data yourself, you need to keep in mind these guidelines and these rules on how to set up this file properly. You have this row of information which we're going to call a header. It tells you what it is that you're tracking. So this is the data that I have for a sales organization, and what you want to make sure that you do is that you create a first line of header information for each row, for each column to be unique, a unique column that's going to collect specific information for that category, for that column, okay? Below the header is the actual data. What you want to do is, as you're collecting information into this file, simply keep adding another row towards the bottom. Don't feel like you have to insert a new row to put the data to match the data before or after, okay? You want to be able to just keep typing next row, and this file may become very long. It doesn't matter. Excel can handle it. And if you know how to use what we're going to teach you today, you'll soon realize that it doesn't matter, it shouldn't matter to you how much data you have collected here. I've worked with reports that are as long as 1,500, 2,500 rows, and I can report on the status of the units or the company or the departments that I'm monitoring or that I'm overseeing, as long as I get the data in a list form, all right? Some basic rules to watch out for is this, okay? This is often the case. A lot of people, they will insert a blank row right here or anywhere in the middle because they feel, well, this data over here has to do with a certain kind of information, but this data over here, it's related to that, but I'm going to separate it with this divider, okay? Don't do that. Do not do that. This right here will mess up your reporting. The person that was taking care of this list, they inserted different empty rows because they figured, okay, this will be my Louisiana office, and this will be my Alabama office, and this over here will be my Texas. So I'm going to divide it into different sections by inserting a row. Don't do that, all right? So another rule of how to keep your reports so that they're efficient and effective in a list form is do not insert blank rows. If you're not getting the data that you need from your reports, think of the fact that you probably have empty columns or empty rows somewhere in your spreadsheet. Go and delete them. You have to put your cursor inside of the data, all right? Don't put your cursor all the way over here and then start your pivot table functions. It's not going to work. It's going to give you kind of like a blank pivot table with no data, so it's going to mess you up. Just realize that you probably don't have the cursor inside of the data itself, so make sure that you put your cursor inside the data, then start your pivot table features. Although the raw data is showing up as a list, okay, the report itself will not come out as a list. What will happen is you will have row information over here that will allow you to categorize the data that you want to look at. Then you're going to have a section over here of rows to be able to distinguish what it is that you're getting data for, and then the actual data area, all right? So over here you could say, for example, region 1, region 2, region 3, region 4, and then the different offices, and then how much commission or how much revenue we've collected by office, by region. All right, that's how this works. We have the list file, the data file set up correctly. We are now ready to start the pivot table functionality. Right there, you click on the insert menu. All right, you click on the insert menu and you now have your insert bar up at the top. And then what you do is you go and click over here on this button that says pivot tables. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to insert a pivot table that's going to actually not be inserted inside of this sheet. Okay, it's going to create another sheet inside of your spreadsheet book. All right, it's going to be another tab down here at the bottom. So although it says insert it, it's not going to insert it in this sheet. It's going to create a new sheet at the bottom, but it's going to be part of this workbook file. All right, so just keep in mind that whenever you want to create an Excel pivot report, you simply are inserting an Excel a pivot table. So therefore, you go to insert, pivot. As soon as you do that, if you have your cursor in the data itself, this is what will happen. Okay, you're going to get this screen. And what this screen is telling you is that it says, I see what you're trying to do. I see headers. I see rows. There's no empty columns, no empty rows. So I'm going to assume that this range right here of data is what you're trying for me to collect and compile and allow you to pivot it to build a report on. So it's simply letting you know that it recognized your list. You don't have to do anything else other than hit the OK button right there. All right, so you hit the OK button and this all of a sudden pops up. First few times that I used this, I completely freaked out. I had no idea what was going on. What is this? What happened to my data? Well, you are now in a pivot table mode. This data here is the same headings that you created in your list file. So it automatically recognized that, oh, the top row is the header information. I'm going to collect them right here. That's why it's important not to divide with empty rows or empty columns. Your data is located right here, all right? Then what happens next is you need to notice that what we're going to do is we're going to take each one of these as we want, as desired, based on what kind of report has been requested. We're going to take each one of these items and drop them into one of these areas, depending on how it is that we want the report to work. Okay, so you have 4 areas. Now, let me show you what this means, all right? Remember, I mentioned to you earlier that what you're going to do is you're going to create a row of information at the top. Then you're going to create a list of information that you're going to compare to, and then the actual data itself. This is the data area. This circle right here, this area is connected to this top area where you're going to put information that goes across your pivot table report. Okay, this circle down here, this one right here, is connected to this area of the report right here. All right, and then this area, this circle, is connected to the actual data area. All right, this will make sense in just a minute. Let's just go forward. So just for now, realize that what we're going to do is we're going to take each one of these fields and drop it into one of these areas, and by simply dropping it, this area automatically changes and shows you the data from your file without you having to go and generate the report. It's an automatically generating report based on what fields you put in which area. We grabbed this field of regions, okay? And I put it down here in this block right here, and notice automatically it listed them right here, okay? So if you're trying this, go ahead and pause the video and try to get to this point and watch. Just grab your mouse, grab this field that says market, and then drop it down here and let it go from your mouse, and automatically this populates this report. All right, so you're already almost halfway there, all right? Then what you do is you grab, see, what I did is I grabbed it from there and I brought it down here, but now the next step is to then grab the next field, okay, which is the actual number of quotes, the dollar amount that we have quoted in each region, and we're going to drag it and put it right here, all right? And as soon as you do that, what happens, okay? Notice it puts it right here. And that happened automatically by simply dropping the field into one of these areas. All right. Now, this is as far as we're going to go with this pivot table report, because once we start getting more complicated, you move into more of the intermediate features. But for now, I want you to try this because this is the very basics of pivot tables. But before we finish, Need to give you the warning that it's going to happen to you. What happens to all of us when we do this is you build this report, somebody's going to come and say, hey, I want you to change it. Well, how do you change this without creating more work for yourself and having to start from the scratch, okay? Again, what a lot of people do is they go back to the list, edit it there, when really they just need to come back to this pivot table functionality screen and change it here and print the reports from here. Highlight the numbers here, and then you click on the dollar amount, and it changes the formatting, and that makes it a little more pleasant to the eye. When you print this, you're going to show it, they're going to come back and say, hey, I want you to do something a little different. You now have set up the data file, you've set up a simple Excel report based on pivot tables, but now you want to change it. This is where you want to make sure you just simply go back to this that you've created, and we're going to modify this instead of going to change anything in the data file. You put your cursor anywhere in here, and when you do that, the pivot table information pops up right here. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to move these categories around. We're going to basically take the categories that were in these areas, and we're going to put them back over here so that this empties out. And remember, if you change anything here, this automatically updates itself. So we're going to take the fields that we had initially put down here, and then we're going to bring them up here and put them back so that it deletes information, and this empties out. So now you have a clear empty screen. How did I create that file? It looked different before. How do I quickly get it to look like this without spending so much time? Remember what I mentioned to you earlier, that each one of these fields you can drag into each one of these boxes. This is the market information. So I know that I have to do is just go grab the market information and put it right here in this block. As soon as I do that, because this block controls what shows up in this row and this row going across, then that's how I get the market information to show up here. Automatically, just drop the field in there and this gets updated. Then I grab the store information and I put it right here in this box, okay? This box, remember, controls this side of the report, and so you see the store number right over here. Again, all I did was grab this field and put it down here in the store in this block area, all right, and that gave me this information here. Now, it'll be blank until I drop the quote data into this box right here. Now, if you're going step by step, if you do first the market shows up. Then if you do the store and you drop it right here, this shows up, okay? This area right here where I'm standing right here will be blank until you then go and grab the quote information and you drag that and you put that right here. As soon as you drop it, this populates automatically, and this now becomes your new view report, and you didn't have to spend a whole lot of time refiguring out how to reformat it. If somebody else wants to see their same report in different light or give you a different type of parameters of how they want it laid out, then you simply do the same thing. Take the fields out of here, back into this, that empties out, then grab the fields from over here, drop them into the right box, and watch how this automatically populates itself, and then that way you can practice. You can do this. Grab a test file with some list information and go create your own pivot tables. Well, there's no consequence. Delete it if you mess up. Don't worry about it. It's going to take practice, so master the basics, okay? And together, we can win in the workplace. All I have left to say is, thank you very much.
It's not long after this that someone's going to request that you generate a graph that reflects this data in visual form. We'll show you how to do that in future modules. We hope you enjoyed this module. Please give us your feedback and send us requests for topics. We upload new videos every week, many of them from the feedback of our subscribed members. For all of us here at Team Real World and Winning in the Workplace, thank you for joining us.